Do. Hey, and good evening, and welcome to Doc's Corner. Last week we were, actually about 2 weeks ago, we were discussing overhydration because basically what took place is we saw a uh, video per se that was saying, "Oh yeah, drink this bottle and add another bottle each day to get hydrated for air assault events." However, we talked about overhydration and what can happen when you overhydrate. And so tonight we're going to talk about dehydration and heat injuries. Now, a lot of people think dehydration just means, oh, you sweat a lot and you're getting dehydrated. Well, that's part of it. The other part of it is being dehydrated can lead you to heat injuries. And so these two topics go hand in hand. And this is something that any combat medic or Navy corpsman that's stationed down here in the South or anywhere for that matter will experience this with their troops that they're attached to from time to time. Just not preparing your bodies for the intense heat with the humidity out here. Now, I've talked with several people about this, that the heat over in Afghanistan and Iraq is completely different than the heat here in the South, where the heat here in the South is a wet heat. You have a lot of humidity and that high temperature, which makes it feel even hotter than it really is. Where over in the desert, it's a dry heat. There is nothing for humidity to form. There's literally no moisture in the ground because, again, it's desert, it's sand. So it's a different type of heat. With that is, so our bodies sweat to cool us down. And that's the whole purpose of our circulatory system and whatnot, is to help move water along to where it's needed within our body, such as our muscles, our brain, tendons, ligaments, things of that nature, to help us keep moving and not to fall out or pass out or anything along those lines. So the first thing we're going to talk about is, again, this information came from healthline.com. Really good site, really comprehensive. This was actually reviewed by George Crook, MD, MBA. So again, this isn't something that somebody just wrote an opinion about. This is something that a medical doctor has actually looked at and reviewed. Now, granted, this when I was printing this came from back in 2016. So really, when you look at medical information for dehydration, nothing has changed. So the first thing we're going to talk about here is what causes dehydration. 19 possible conditions that can cause dehydration. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and I'm going to minimize this, and that way if you guys ask questions, I'll come back to it and answer any of your questions that you might have. So right here, let's figure out what dehydration is. And dehydration takes place when your body loses more fluid than you drink. So how I was going back and telling you guys, make sure you drink at least a gallon of water a day. Believe it or not, through urination, taking a dump, however you want to look at it, walking around from place to place, you are using water in your system. Your body is filtering it out. Your muscles are using it to move nutrients in and out. So again, you need to make sure you drink at least a gallon of water a day. And like I've talked about, for those of you that work out real heavily and you're taking protein regimens, supplements, you're going to want to increase that water intake to anywhere from 1.5 gallons to 2 gallons of water a day because of your workout regimen and what's required. The most common cause of water loss from the body is excessive sweating. Per example, with as hot as the weather is right now and with the humidity, you go outside and you're out there for 5 minutes and you can feel yourself start to sweat. So what I recommend for anybody who's going to be doing activities outside is to, spend time outside, playing basketball, mowing the lawn, whatever it might be, to help get your body acclimated to this weather, but still be drinking water every day, and do realize that you're going to be sweating a lot. Your body sweats to cool you down. That's just how it works. It's like a radiator. It realizes that you're hot, and it says, hey, let's sweat and cool ourselves down. The suggested amount of water to drink is 8 to 10 glasses per day for an average non-active person. Individuals on the go, athletes, people exposed to high temperatures should increase their water intake to avoid dehydration. So again, for us airsoft players, guys that are working out, people that are playing basketball, football, whatever, we need to increase our water intake. And again, that's why I go back to that gallon. That's a great measurement increment to drink a gallon of water throughout the day. And then, like I said, the more activities you do, the more water you're going to drink to replenish that Gatorade, Powerade, which will help. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. Um, Again, when too much water is lost from the body, the organs, cells, and tissues fail to function as they should, which can lead to dangerous complications. If dehydration isn't corrected immediately, it could cause shock. Dehydration can be mild or severe. Mild dehydration can usually be treated at home, whereas severe dehydration has to be treated in the hospital or an emergency care setting. So a perfect example is you're out there and you just pass out. You're going to need to get to the ER. They're going to do rapid cool downs. They're going to put probably what we call bore IVs, 14 gauge IV catheters, usually one in both arms, so they can start dumping fluid back into your body. You can actually have things such as renal failure. You can have brain damage from dehydration. So there is a lot of things. I mean, that's just two big ones right there that can come from dehydration. So again, make sure you're drinking your water. The time to hydrate is not the day before an event. Like I've been telling you guys, if you're drinking a gallon of water a day, you'll be good. And make sure you just bring water with you out there to the field and you're constantly drinking. Here are some of the risk factors for dehydration. Athletes exposed to direct sun aren't the only ones at risk for dehydration. In fact, bodybuilders and swimmers are among athletes that most commonly develop the condition. This is because in these sports, drinking is discouraged during training sessions or before competitions, which can cause self-induced dehydration. And strange as it may seem, it's possible to sweat in water. Swimmers lose lots of sweat when swimming. Yes, their body is working. Their body temperature is rising. They are sweating. They're wearing those neoprene suits. So that whole area is sweating. It's hotter because there's no way for that portion of the body to cool themselves down naturally. It's got that rubber suit over top. Regardless if it's called a wetsuit, you're still sweating. It's not as easy for it to cool your body down. So yes, it's kind of along the fact that people don't believe you can get sunburn in the wintertime when the sun's not out. But if you're sitting with snow and you've ever walked out on a gloomy day during the wintertime and there's a bunch of fresh snow on the ground and that light that's still shining reflects off that snow, you're out there squinting or you're looking for sunglasses. And it's the same point in wintertime. Your body's working harder to keep yourself warmer, so you're sweating, you're dehydrating. Some people are at higher risk of developing dehydration than others, including workers exposed to excessive amount of heat. This would be your landscapers. They're out there all day long, construction workers, mechanics, things of that nature. Senior citizens, because of their age, their as I call it, your radiator system is not working as well. And some of these senior citizens might have renal dysfunction or renal disorder. So again, it's causing that issue. Individuals with chronic illnesses, athletes, especially runners, cyclists, and soccer players. I can tell you last year I coached soccer at the Y, and we were playing in some of the hottest days of the year, clear blue skies, sun beating down on the kids. And every time they came off the field, I was making sure they drank water and tried to find shade for them because it was so hot and they're out there running back and forth constantly. Infants and young children, why? Their bodies aren't as developed. They're not as used to the hotter temperatures like we are. And people reside in high altitudes. And that one I'm not quite sure. I think it's because of the fact that the air is thinner up there. But I'll do some research on that one and find out for sure on that one. How does dehydration develop? Your body regularly loses water through sweating and urination. If the water isn't replaced, you become dehydrated. Very simple. So you sweat, you lose water. We talked about this beforehand. And when you go to the bathroom, you lose water. That's basically what is allowing you to pee. So if you don't replace that, you're just going to end up dehydrating yourself. Dehydration is caused by any situation or condition that causes the body to lose more water than usual. So if you're sitting at home playing a video game and you get up to go to the bathroom, okay, that's normal activity. But if you're out on the airsoft field with all your gear and you're running all over the place and sweat's just pouring down your face and your combat top is soaking wet and your gear's soaking wet from sweat, that's leading to dehydration. That's what's happening. So you got to make sure that you're constantly drinking water. Whereas if you're playing a video game and you grab a glass of water, you can sip that while you're playing. Now, like me, when I play video games, I like to have a glass of ice water, about this size. This is a pretty decent sized cup, filled with ice and ice water. So when I'm playing or I take a break, I can pause, I can take a drink, put it back down. I'm not exerting myself. I'm not sweating. That's just a normal indoor activity. So, sucking down 5 glasses while I'm playing inside is kind of ridiculous. I'll be going to the bathroom every 30 minutes. So sweating. We all know, we all do this. This is how our body naturally cools us down, and this is what happens when we exert ourselves and our body needs to cool down as it sweats. So sweating is part of your body's natural cooling process. When you become hot, your sweat glands activate to release moisture from your body in an attempt to cool it off. It's just like in a radiator. You watch that temperature gauge goes up, it gets to a certain point, the fan kicks on, the radiator runs through the car, cools it off. That cools off the engine. That's what it's meant to do. So pretty much same concept within our bodies. The way this works is by evaporation. As a drop of sweat evaporates from your skin, it takes a small amount of heat with it. The more sweat you produce, the more evaporation there is, and the more you are cooled off. Sweating also hydrates your skin and maintains the balance of electrolytes in your body. The fluid your sweat is composed mainly of salt and water. So remember when I talked about this, I said it's a good thing to have Gatorade, Powerade, because that drink, that sports drink, is formulated with electrolytes, potassium, sodium. There's another one in there that I'm losing right now. But anyways, those are scientifically formulated to help rehydrate you because it's mixed with water. So you have your water and now you have your sodium complex put together, and you drink that, and that helps replace the salt and it replaces the water in your system. I recommend, like I said, during the game, drink water. When you get a chance to have a break or whatnot, that's when you pull out your Gatorade and you sip down some Gatorade. Don't chug it, sip it down. So, okay, excessive sweating can cause dehydration since you lose a large amount of water. The technical term for excessive sweating is hypohydrolysis, and I apologize. I'll probably kill a couple of these medical terms or words. So if you're sweating a lot, okay, you're overheating, you're out there, you're running around, and you just sweating like crazy, it's because your body is trying to cool you off. It's trying to, every drop of sweat that evaporates, it says it takes a little bit of heat away. That's what's happening. It's trying to cool yourself off. And in that's when you pull yourself to the shade for a second or two and just kind of get out of that direct sunlight. I know a lot of you guys like wearing helmets. Well, let me tell you something. Your helmets keep a lot of heat in, especially if you have a lot of hair. That's why I shave my head during the summer months, pretty much almost all year round here in Georgia. But I shave my head because I don't have a whole lot of hair here to keep the sweat in. And I see some of these guys out here that play have long hair. And what happens is the hair gets soaked and it keeps it down and it stops your head from being able to breathe as well. Now, I'm not saying run out and go shave your head. That works for you, that's fine. But for somebody like me, because I know how my body is, it just makes it easier. I don't overheat for my head. So, illnesses that cause continuous vomiting or diarrhea can result in dehydration. Food poisoning is a good one with this. Severe cases of influenza is another one. Everybody knows that if you get food poisoning, it's usually coming out both ends, and that's usually happening for a couple days until that food, that bacteria, that it runs its course out of your system. But during that time, you have to be willing and have to be able to drink water, or you will end up dehydrated. So this is because vomiting and diarrhea can cause too much water to be expelled from your body. Important electrolytes are also lost through these processes. Electrolytes are minerals used by the body to control the muscles, blood chemistry, organ processes. These electrolytes are found in blood, urine, and other fluids in the body. Vomiting or diarrhea can impair these functions and cause severe complications such as stroke and coma. So again, if you expel too much of these Electrolytes, I mean, that's the severe side right there, stroke and coma. And I don't know how many of you guys want to have a stroke or end up in a coma. So again, when you have something such as food poisoning, um, or you're really, really sick, you know, it behooves you to be drinking water throughout this process because you got to replenish that. And again, having Gatorade, I know with my daughters when they're sick and they're throwing up or whatever it might be, red Gatorade is what they like. So they're replacing their electrolytes and they're getting the water still from the Gatorade. So make sure. Um, Fevers. If you have a fever, your body loses fluid through the skin surface in an attempt to lower the temperature. Often, fever can cause you to sweat so much that if you don't drink to replenish, you could end up dehydrated. I experienced this myself when I was in the Navy in the first, probably, I would say in the first 4 weeks of boot camp. Now, mind you, I went to boot camp in the wintertime, but I knew I had a fever. I could feel it. I mean, you could hold your hand off my head. And I believe in the whole thing. If you have a fever, you can sweat it out. And I actually did that. I put on my, as we called it, our Smurf suit, which was our blue PT gear, hooded sweatshirt and sweatpants, put that hood up over my head. And by 2, 3 o'clock in the morning that next day, I had felt completely better and I had sweated out. I could feel it. I had sweat that much. But again, if that's going to be the method to your madness, make sure you're drinking water as well, or you will end up dehydrated. Urination is the body's normal way to release toxins from your body. Some conditions can cause chemical imbalances, which can increase your urine output. If you don't replace the fluid lost through excessive urination, you could run the risk of developing dehydration. These are all things that we've talked about before. So again, um, excessive water intake when we're talking about overhydration, you're going to be going to the bathroom a lot. So if you have a severe illness that is causing you to go to the bathroom to urinate a lot, make sure you're replacing it and you're drinking water. What I always tell people, when we had a chart in our bathrooms in our barracks and in the medical areas, that it told you, like with the colors of the urine, if you were good or not. And what I always tell people is a light yellow to almost clear is right where you should be. You're not in trouble if you're peeing clear. There's just no toxins or visible toxins, and you're well hydrated that are coming out. I mean, there's always toxins coming out of your urine, but you're not dehydrated. The darker the urine, the more dehydrated you are. And that's a good indicator that, wow, I should probably be drinking more water because of this. You notice it first thing in the morning when you get up, you notice your urine is a tinger yellow or darker yellow. It's because you're dehydrated. So one thing that I've started doing is I drink a glass of water or two before I go to bed. I get up in the morning and I drink a glass of water as well. That helps rehydrate my body, because believe it or not, when you sleep at night, that's when your body goes to work to start repairing muscles and cells and things of that nature, and it's using water to do that. So you want to make sure you're able to replace that. And if you get up in the middle of the night, get a glass of water instead of a glass of milk or a soda or something. What are the symptoms of dehydration? So they have this broken down into mild, moderate, and severe dehydration. So the symptoms of mild to moderate dehydration include sleepiness, dry mouth, increased thirst, decreased urination, less tear production, dry skin, constipation, dizziness, lightheadedness, and a headache. Believe it or not, the easiest way to take care of a headache most times is to just start drinking water. Now, I'm saying just shoveling it down. What I'm saying is drink water over the course of 30 to 40 minutes, and you will notice your headache will start to lessen. When we're out there playing, some of us eat MREs while we're out in the field, and we're like, oh man, I'm stopped up for 2 or 3 days. You can fix that by your water intake, and you also have to remember, as you're out in the field running around during these games, you're dehydrating. So not only do you have to replace the water for that, but if you look at an MRE, there's a lot of protein in those things because of how they're built. So again, you got to increase the water intake due to the protein intake. Dizziness, dry skin. You'll notice that you're not sweating as much and your skin starts to get dry. That's a tall tale sign. Happens to a lot of people when they go out to the beach. They're not thinking about it. So, and then of course they feel exhausted. A perfect example is I went out and mowed the lawn last Friday when I got home from work, at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I knew I wasn't properly hydrated because halfway through it, I stopped. I literally felt like I was going to pass out. So I stopped for about 20, 30 minutes, started sipping some water, felt better. Went back out, finished the lawn, kind of felt in that same phase, drank some water, took a shower, and for the rest of the day, I was just wiped. So that's a good indicator as well. In addition to the symptoms of mild dehydration, severe dehydration is likely to cause the following: excessive thirst, lack of sweat production, low blood pressure, rapid heart rate, rapid breathing, fever, sunken eyes, shriveled skin, dark urine. So remember when I was talking about your urine color, that's a good indicator of how hydrated you are. Symptoms of severe dehydration are a real medical emergency and should be treated by a medical professional immediately. Children are, so basically if somebody passes out on the airsoft field, we're calling 911, we're getting an ambulance and getting them out there. And the reason for that is there's nothing on the field we can do for them. We can pull them into the shade. We can start putting cold packs under their arms, around the back of their neck, their groin, the bottom of their feet, get their gear off them. If have to, get their shirt off. If you can't get it off, cut it off. And what this will do will start to help to lower the body temperature. And then once EMS gets there, let them take care of it. Because here's the thing. If that happens to somebody, we get them back up topside into the admin spot and they're like, oh yeah, I'll be fine. Well, they're more susceptible to it happening again, and then it could be even worse. We want to get them out of the hot environment, get them into a cool environment, and let medical professionals take care of them, okay? Medical emergencies, children and seniors should be treated immediately, even if they're experiencing symptoms of mild dehydration. If a person in any age group develops the following symptoms, seek emergency care: severe diarrhea, blood in the stools, diarrhea for 3 or more days, inability to keep fluids down, and disorientation. So if that happens, guess what? You're going to the hospital. There's no way around it. So how is dehydration diagnosed? Before beginning any test, your doctor will go over any symptoms you have to rule out other conditions. After taking your medical history, the doctor will check your vital signs, including your heart rate, blood pressure. Low blood pressure and rapid heart rate will be indicated for dehydration. Those are indicators. We talked about those earlier. A blood test may be used to check the level of electrolytes, which can help indicate fluid loss. A blood test may also be used to check your body's level of creatine. This helps your doctor determine how well your kidneys are functioning. So yes, all our bodies produce creatine, and we take, those of us that work out, we take extra creatine because what that does is it pulls more water into your muscles. So your body will check, your doctor, the ER doctor will run probably what's called a Chem 8 or a Chem 12, and they'll know all that stuff within 20, 30 minutes. A urinalysis is an exam that they'll use a sample of urine to check for the presence of bacteria and electrolyte loss. Your doctor can also check for dehydration by checking the color of your urine. Again, this is 3 times now we've talked about the color of your urine. Very good indicator, especially out on the airsoft field. I mean, for some of us guys, if you really got to go, take a piss, are you going all the way back up to the admin that's on the far side of the field? No, you're probably going to go find a tree just behind your HQ and take a piss there. And guess what? You can pretty much tell if you're dehydrated at that point. And if you are, my suggestion for you is this: pull yourself out for about 20 to 30 minutes, sit down and drink water. That's what I suggest. Strategies to treat dehydration. Treatments for dehydration include rehydrating methods, electrolyte replacement, and treating diarrhea or vomiting if needed. Rehydration method includes fluid replacement by drinking or IV. Drinking may not be possible for people suffering from diarrhea or vomiting, so fluids will be given intravenously. To do this, your doctor inserts, okay, so basically you're in the hospital at this point if this is happening to you. For those of you able to drink, the doctor will suggest drinking water along with electrolyte-containing rehydration drink. So again, like I said, Gatorade, Powerade, any of that stuff along that line. And for children, they'll drink what's called Pedialyte, which is a children's version of Gatorade, the way it's formulated. In this document, and I'll put the link in the video description, they give an actual recipe for a rehydration solution. And if a sport drinks isn't available, and this will be something that I'll actually put together and have it in small Ziploc bags, so if it's needed, we can make it right on the spot. But it's a half teaspoon of salt and 6 teaspoons of sugar in 1 liter of water. Be absolutely certain that you are using the accurate measurement. Using too much salt, sugar can be dangerous. So again, instead of you guys bringing this stuff all out, what I'll do is I'll put together, 20, 30 individual packets of this stuff. So if anything happens or, you're just feeling laggy, it's not going to be the greatest tasting stuff in the world, but it does its job. Things to avoid. Don't treat yourself by drinking soda, overly sweet drinks, or caffeine. These drinks can worsen dehydration. I don't know how many times I have said this throughout my airsoft career, but I can tell you right now, do not drink energy drinks, soda. I know some of the older guys will have coffee in the morning. I know you think you need to have a Powerade, or I'm sorry, Coke in the morning to start your day off, but I highly, highly am against that, especially with as hot as it is. So if you're going to start drinking that, what I recommend is this. Don't drink that kind of stuff until the day after the event. Give your body a chance to rest. You get home from the event, take a shower, drink some Gatorade, just relax. Don't scarf down a soda, don't suck down, whatever it might be. Just give your body a chance to balance out. And that'll take a day or two with Gatorade and water replacement. Potential complications for untreated dehydration. If it's left untreated, it can be life-threatening, so we don't. Heat exhaustion, heat cramps, heat strokes, seizures due to electrolyte loss, low blood volume, kidney failure, and coma. So these are some of the life-threatening complications for unchecked or untreated dehydration. I'm going to go ahead and share this out, let people know that we are Nope. There you go. There we go. We'll put that out there, let everybody know we're doing it. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. So we'll go ahead and minimize that. So how can I prevent dehydration? And this is for everybody to ask this. If you're ill, increase your fluid intake, especially if you're vomiting or having diarrhea constantly. If you can't hold down liquids, consult your doctor. If you're going to exercise or play sports, drink 1 to 3 cups of water before beginning. At regular intervals during the workout, replace your fluids. So like I was saying, right now, everybody should be hydrating. Dress cool in hot months and avoid being out in the direct heat if you can avoid it. Even if you aren't active, drink the recommended amount of fluid. And this was written by April Kahn and then medically reviewed on February 3rd, 2016 by Mark L. Lafalemi, MD. Again, I'll go ahead and I will post the link in the description of this video. And again, it's from Healthline. Very good publication, very good website. What's cool is when you search for something on Healthline, they give you other articles as well, so other sources. So with dehydration, we're going to talk about heat emergencies because there are different types of heat emergencies out there. So again, from Healthline, and this was medically reviewed by a Deborah Witherspoon, PhD, MSN, RN, CRNA. So this is a doctor of nursing. She's a registered nurse and has her master's in nursing as well. So definitely somebody who knows her stuff. What are heat emergencies? Heat emergencies are health crises caused by exposure to the hot weather and sun. Heat emergencies have 3 stages: heat cramps, heat exhaustion, and heat stroke. All 3 stages of heat emergency are serious. If you live in hot climates or play sports in the summertime, You should know how to spot symptoms of heat emergencies. Getting treatment in the early stages of the condition can prevent heat stroke. Heat stroke can be fatal or cause lifelong complications. Call 911 or go to the emergency room if a heat illness is causing vomiting, seizures, or unconsciousness. So that's one thing I want to talk about. We are now in probably the hottest time of the year for airsoft events. Anything from the mill sims to our rec games that we enjoy every weekend. We're talking from now until, I would say, I know down here it stays nice and hot, well, unbearable hot, into October, late October. So again, these are things that if you know how to identify these, you can stop something disastrous from happening. So what are the signs and symptoms of a heat emergency? So we're going to start with heat cramps. So the first stage is heat cramps. Heat cramps are the first stage of any heat emergency. They usually happen when you've been physically active in the heat, but can also occur if you haven't been active. Heat cramps are especially likely in the elderly or small children, overweight people, and people who have been drinking alcohol. Muscle pain and tightness are symptoms of heat cramps. Muscle painness in legs, arms, chest. Heat exhaustion. Symptoms of heat exhaustion include muscle cramps, dizziness, mild confusion, fast rate or heart rate or breathing, headache, irritability, extreme thirst, nausea or vomiting, pale skin, heavy sweating, or fainting. So again, we go back and talk about dehydration, and 90%, 90 to 95% of all the signs and symptoms of dehydration are right here in heat exhaustion. All right. So again, you see this happen a lot with sports outside. You see this during high school time. I know when I was going through high school for football, we were doing 2 days in the morning and again in the afternoon, and it was miserable. But that's how they're meant. Some places do 3 days, and you can start to feel this happening throughout. You get home at the end of the day, after the last one, you're like, okay, I'm done. But again, we're not drinking enough water to replace what we lost out there. Heat stroke. With heat stroke, all symptoms of heat exhaustion may be present, plus body temperature over 104 degrees, irrational behavior or hallucinations, confusion, rapid shallow breathing, rapid and weak pulse, seizures, loss of consciousness, and dry skin. So again, more signs and symptoms of dehydration are now in this as well. So we know what to look for with dehydration. Now we know what to look for heat exhaustion and heat stroke. Sweating may be present in heat stroke. A person who is experiencing heat stroke might have very dry skin from dehydration. Why do heat emergencies happen? So again, from what we're reading here with heat emergencies is pretty much what we covered already in dehydration. So again, these two complement each other very well. Heat emergencies usually occur when someone has exercised too much in the hot weather, being confined or trapped in a place that heats up, such as a car. That's why we say don't leave your kids in a hot car. Don't leave dogs. Don't leave animals, period, in a hot car. Is also cause of heat emergencies. Heat emergencies are more common in people who are overweight, people who have been drinking alcohol. Yes, drinking alcohol is not hydration. I know some of you guys probably think that, like, damn, I drink plenty of beer. Older adults and children are higher risk for heat stroke than adults, active adults, healthy adults. These risk factors are due to difficulty regulating the internal body temperature, like we discussed in dehydration. Older adults in heat emergencies during a period of hot weather. Older adults who live alone are at particular risk of heat emergencies. They did a study of 739 heat-related deaths in Chicago back in 1995 and found out that the majority of them were older adults who lived alone. They talk about children and heat emergencies as well. And again, this type of stuff, again, I'll post a link. I'll post a link in the description so you can look at this document as well. How are heat emergencies treated? You can help yourself or others experiencing a heat emergency, especially the first two, which is heat cramps and heat exhaustion. Stage cramping and exhaustion. Remember 3 important things. Call 911 or go to the emergency room if the heat emergency is causing vomiting, seizures, or unconsciousness. If that happens on the field, guess what? 911, the ambulances come to get you. Don't give the person anything to drink if they're vomiting or unconscious. If you give someone something to drink that's unconscious, they're going to choke and die. Now you have a whole other problem on your hands. Same thing with vomiting. You're giving it to them and it's coming right back up. So that's not doing anything for them. They're just losing what you're trying to give them. Never offer a drink containing alcohol or caffeine to someone experiencing a heat emergency. Water and Gatorade or Powerade. You don't want caffeine going into their system because it affects the heart, and you don't want alcohol in the system because, again, it affects the heart. Heat cramps. If you or someone you know is experiencing heat cramps, you should move to a cooler area out of the direct sunlight, gently massage the cramping muscle, stretch the muscle gently, drink cool water or sports drinks every 15 minutes. Most of the reason due to heat cramps is it's a sign and symptom of dehydration and of low electrolytes in your body. Your sodium level's starting to drop. Heat exhaustion. To treat heat exhaustion, you should move to a cooler area out of direct sunlight, loosen clothing, apply cool wet towels to your face, neck, chest, and limbs. Have someone fan your skin. Drink cool water or sports drinks every 15 minutes. Don't drink too quickly. You just want to sip them. You don't want to gulp them down. For a heat stroke, it's a life-threatening emergency. We're calling 911. You're going to the emergency room. We're not even messing with that one right there. We're going to move you to a cool area, get you out of direct sunlight. We're going to loosen up your clothes, remove any sweaty clothing because your body can't breathe. We're going to apply cool wet towels to the face, neck, chest, and limbs. We're going to apply ice to your underarms, wrist, and groin. If we don't have them, we're going to put freezing cold bottles of water in those same areas. We're going to fan your skin, and we're going to offer cool water or sports drinks every 15 minutes if the person is conscious. Again, if you're unconscious, we're not giving you anything. You're going to choke and die. Potential complications of heat emergencies. Most people recover from any stage of a heat emergency in a few days. However, vital organs like your brain begin to swell during heat stroke. This can lead to permanent damage. So now you guys get an idea again of how dangerous heat stroke is. How can heat emergencies be prevented? The best way to avoid a heat emergency is to stay in the shade or in a ventilated, air-conditioned area during the hottest parts of the day. In most fields, there's buildings, there's lots of tree cover, so it's going to provide shade throughout the day. If you have to be outside during those times, take precautions. Rest as often as possible, wear light-colored loose clothing, drink water frequently, and avoid alcohol. Help prevent a heat emergency in others by checking frequently on older adults and children. So again, I'll post this link for this one as well. Like I was telling you guys, you're in a squad together. Check on each other. If you're back at your HQ or your spawn and you're getting ready to head back out, make sure everybody say, hey, we're all back here at spawn. We have 10 minutes before we spawn out. Everybody pull your water and start drinking water. And then whoever the platoon leader is or the squad leader, just go around, just make sure everybody's good to go. Check them out, ask them, say, how are you feeling? And just take an overall look at them and see, hey, is he even sweating? I mean, his skin looks really, really dry. Or if you notice a guy who is sitting there and just, you may want him to stay back, get him out of the shade, let him rest for a little bit, get a hold of admins on the field, and we'll come. I mean, like I said, we have vehicles for your enjoyment, but we also can take those vehicles and turn them into an emergency vehicle if we have to get people off the field. So again, just make sure you're checking each other out. Buddy checks are good to have. So that's one thing we want to do out there. Hey, Spider, there we go. I'm looking at getting some hydration salts. Hydration salts aren't bad. I go back to what I recommend in this is, your Gatorade. Gatorade makes electrolyte tabs, and I think a couple other companies do. And having some of that's not bad. I think places like Bass Pro Shop and maybe online have a few different things you can do for electrolyte replacement. So try not to go, a lot of people, they'll go salt for some reason. And what will happen is they will have too much salt in their system, which is bad because now you start to get thirsty more and more and more. And then you start going to overhydration. So it's a balancing act between dehydration and overhydration to find that happy medium. It has liquid IV. I'd like to check those out and see exactly what's in those. I will tell you, if you go to the ER for a heat related injury, it's usually they're putting sodium chloride, normal saline, or they'll do lactated ringers because there is more in there, and they'll inject it with dextrose 5%, and it helps replace all those electrolytes back into your system. So those are something else. That's something else to look at as well. The objective is to stay out of the hospital. So that's why I do these videos, so that way you guys can get a little bit more insight on that as well. So like I said, heat injuries, dehydration go hand in hand. I think the three topics we've covered so far, like I said, overhydration, dehydration, and heat injuries, is a good start, especially during these hotter parts of the year that we play airsoft in. One of the things that I'm going to start doing is, doing a video on a personal first aid kit. One that you can throw in your car, that's more there, you keep it in your car all the time. To something that you can put on yourself and carry with you when you're at an airsoft event or whatever you're doing. So we're going to also do a video on snake bites and prevention for that as well, and care and things of that nature, because we do live in the South, and there are some slithery friends out there that enjoy enjoy nature just as much as we do. So we want to make sure that we have people that are up to date and things like that. We're also going to talk about allergic reactions, especially to insect bites and stings. That's one thing to keep note of. When we give you those emergency cards and we say, hey, fill this out, we're doing that because we want to know, are you allergic to this? Are you allergic to, this? The reason for that is knowing that if you are allergic to insect bites or insect stings, such as bees, wasps, hornets, that kind of stuff, then my next question is, do you have an EpiPen? Do you have a shot kit? Do you have it on you? Where is it located? Are there instructions? Would you be able to talk somebody through it if you're not able to give it to you? That kind of stuff, because again, it's good to know. Same thing with those of you that suffer from asthma. Okay, do you have an inhaler? Is it on you? That kind of thing. So if something was to happen out in the field, you're on the far end of the field and the campsite's all the way on the other side, it's not taking somebody precious time to give you relief from not being able to breathe. So that's why it's important you fill out those emergency contact cards with as much information as you possibly can, and you put them in places that at any given time anybody can grab it, and if they have to, they can administer it for you and help you. So that's why it's so important to have that. But that's all I have for this edition of Doc's Corner. I do appreciate you guys giving me your time. We'll have another one here probably, like I said, in the next probably week or so. Like I said, I'm going to do one on how to put together your own first aid kit that you can carry on you. And then we'll also cover things like insect and snake bites, and how important that is to be able to identify the right snakes. Because in the state of Georgia, if you kill a non-poisonous snake, it's against the law. You can end up in jail, and that's a $1,000 fine. We'll also talk about burn injuries and the differences between the different types of burns. I think that's good to know because, again, we have campfires and things of that nature. There's different ways to treat each degree of burn. So something else that we'll be looking forward to. But again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Please feel free to share this video, leave comments, because I'm always trying to give you guys the information that I think you guys can use while you're out playing airsoft or whatever you're doing. Feel free to share this video out. Forget snakes. please, like I said, share this video out. If you like the information that we're passing, give this video a thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe to our channel. And again, you can hit that bell button every time we post a new video online. And then I'll be seeing all you guys on Sunday for the Falcon Flyby. We got a lot to talk about. We got some really cool things happening. Again, Black Dagger, things are just getting better and better with what we have going on. So just be ready for that. And we're going to talk about all the air assault events and things of that nature that are going on across this great country, because a few more popped up today on my radar. So again, this is Doc for Doc's Corner saying stay safe, have a great night. I'll see you guys on Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Falcon Flyby. And look forward to seeing you guys there. Take care, have a great night, and I'll see everybody on Sunday. Doc out.